Alright, Shalom, Shalom. Before I start, I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakar Kodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, meaning coming in the name, Ba means coming in, Ha means the, Sham means name, Rakar meaning spirit, Kodash meaning holy. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect, and shalom to you, sincere brothers that are scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity, and shalom to you, sincere sisters that are listening in silence, as scriptures command you to do so. I am the brother Mashiach Razakah from Prophets of Good Works Camp of Las Vegas, Nevada, and double honors to the elders of the elect of the house of David. And pretty much in this lesson, it's going to be titled as African Pastor Tries to Divide the Sea as Moses did. Okay. African pastor tries to divide the sea as Moses did. Now, to you people out there, you're not going to be able to mimic the prophets of old. All right. And that's pretty much what he was doing, which that's tempting the Lord thy power. Notice, he almost drowned in that ocean. If he would have went a little further out, that ocean could have pulled him out or pulled him down to out to the middle of the sea. Then you could have drowned because the current is pretty strong. All right. You know, I've seen videos of these African pastors. They just don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, there was one, I think it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. There was one where a pastor put himself in a casket, and he had his congregation to put him in a casket, and he could fast it 40 days and 40 nights and still be alive. That pastor did that, and he died. He pretty much suffocated and died. There's no way you're going to be able to not eat or drink anything for 40 days and 40 nights. And then he put himself in a casket. Okay, and he when they went to get him out of the casket within the next 40 days, he was found dead. There was another one where this pastor tried to say that he had the gift to be able to go out to the wild and pet an animal. And he went out there to try to pet the animal, the lion actually, it was a lion, to pet a wild lion. He believed that God gave him the gift to be able to pet the wild lion without attacking him. And when the pastor went to do that, the lion almost mauled his ass to death. He literally had to run from the lion. You know, you people out there, the Bible is too dangerous for you. If you try to believe that you could mimic the prophets of old, you know, that pastor with the lion, he tried to mimic Daniel. When you know how Daniel was thrown into the dungeon with the lions and the lion didn't attack him, he tried to mimic prophet Daniel by going up to the lion and petting it and all that. You know, that's tempting the Lord thy power. You got to have wisdom when it comes to this truth or when it comes to this ministry. All right. You're not going to be able to go and split the sea. You're not going to be able to go up to a wild lion and pet a wild lion. You know, these guys is literally trying to mimic the prophets of old. You're not going to be able to put yourself in the casket and fast for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen, bro. All right. We are not the prophets of old. And when you do those type of situations and do those type of things, you're tempting the Lord. And that's not a good thing. You never want to tempt the Lord. So I got some scriptures for that individual that's doing that. It is funny, but at the same time, it's stupidity. This is Proverbs 15:21. Folly is joy to him that is destituted from wisdom. And you see that? He's destituted for wisdom. He has no wisdom. Why are you gonna go out to the sea and try to divide it? That's tempting the Lord thy power. It says, but a man of understanding walketh uprightly. If that man had the correct understanding with wisdom, he wouldn't have tried to do that. He wouldn't try to participate in doing something like that. You got to have common sense. All right. The Lord was with Moses to do that for a reason. You just trying to go out there to just divide the sea for no apparent reason. That's just retarded. During that time, the Lord gave Moses that power to be able to deliver Israel from the Hamites, right? Because we were in the Egyptian captivity, right? And the Lord gave Moses that power to be able to divide the Red Sea because the Hamites, they were trying to come back, right, and kill Moses and try to keep the children of Israel, right? But that didn't happen. The Lord allowed Moses and gave Moses the power to divide the Red Sea. You just try to go out there and just divide the sea for no apparent reason, which that's stupid. Okay, you got to be using wisdom. You can't do that. This is Matthew 4 and 7. It says, Yahushua said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy power. And that's tempting the Lord. You're going to go out to the sea for no apparent reason at all and try to divide the sea. No, the Lord isn't going to do that. You have no reason to do that, right? You're tempting the Lord thy power. That's why I noticed the water almost came and pulled him. The current came and almost pulled him out to the middle of the sea. You almost drowned. Not having common sense, okay? Not having common sense. You're not going to be able to divide the sea, bro. You're not. You're not the prophets of old, man. All right? 1 Corinthians 2 and 14. But natural men cannot receive the things of the Spirit of the Lord. Right. The Lord not dealing with that African pastor. He has no wisdom. If you're going to put yourself out there in the middle of the sea, not middle of the sea, but put yourself out there to try to divide the sea, you don't have no common sense. You're spiritually discerned. It says, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them because they are spiritually discerned. That man is spiritually discerned. He has no wisdom. You're gonna try to divide the sea. Not having common sense, man. Now, when I seen that video, I laughed so many times because it's stupid. Why would you try to do that? You're tempting the Lord, man. You don't want to do that. Proverbs 12:15. It says, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes. And he was a fool. He believed in his own mind. He was literally believable and persuaded in his own mind to believe that he can go out there and divide that sea and split that sea. Notice nothing happened. Right? Nothing happened when you did that. The Lord isn't going to do that. You're going to split the sea for no reason. That don't make no sense. It says the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. And you got to hearken on to counsel. You got to hearken on to these holy scriptures. You got to be spiritual minded. All right, that man is being carnal. He's not being spiritual minded. You being carnal, man. You're going to go and try to split an ocean. That's just, you're not going to be able to do that. The Lord's not going to do that. Proverbs 1 and 5, a wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall obtain unto wise counsel. You got to be using wisdom to understand a proverb and an interpretation. You see that? The words of the wise and their dark sayings. Now let's go back. A wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. Using wisdom to understand a proverb and an interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. See, the Lord isn't dealing with these African pastors. The Lord not dealing with y'all, man. Y'all don't have the capable understanding or, you know, procedures of what the Lord really required you to do. You know, you guys don't get it. It's not meant for you to get it. Proverbs 1 and 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, right? It says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. See, fools despise wisdom and instruction. He don't understand the instructions of the Lord, man. He don't fear the Lord. You trying to go and pet a lion and get mauled to death. You over there putting yourself in a casket for 40 days and 40 nights. Like a brother of mine said in the past. He didn't even poke a hole in it or nothing. He just put himself in a casket and let him bury him 6 feet and be in there for 40 days, 40 nights. That man died, bro. Being over righteous can get you killed. It can destroy you. And he was being over righteous there. All right. You can't be over righteous. And there's a precept in the scriptures that talks about that. Be not over righteous, right? You can destroy yourself that way. You don't want to be over righteous. This is Ecclesiastes 7 and 16. This is what everyone should be careful for in this ministry, is being over righteous. That you can destroy yourself that way. It says, "Be not over righteous much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself?" Yes, you can destroy yourself being over righteous. You don't want to be over righteous, man. And that right there was being over righteous, and he wasn't using wisdom. Okay, you trying to split the Red Sea. I mean, not Red Sea, so like you split the sea. See, you got me over here thinking about that. The Red Sea, you over there trying to split the sea. Salakia. It's not going to happen. You try to divide the sea. That's not going to happen. This is Ephesians 5 and 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly. And this is what a lot of you individuals is not doing. Circumspectly is an adverb meaning to act in a careful, cautious, and prudent manner, actively avoiding risks and considering all potential consequences before taking action. And that's what he's not doing. He wasn't being circumspectly. He's just gonna go and get a stick. He went out in the jungle, got a machete, cut the shapest stick that he thought that was perfect to use, and then gonna take his congregation out to the sea, and then he tries to run and split divide the water. It didn't happen, bro. It says, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." You got to be using wisdom. Going out to the sea and trying to divide it is not using wisdom. That's not using wisdom, man. All right. This is Romans 8 and 5. "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh." And that individual, that's what he was doing. He was being carnal. He was being carnal. He wasn't using wisdom, and he was being over righteous. All right. A gang of those attributes there. "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh. But they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit." Because you're spiritual minded. You're going to use wisdom. Right? Verse 6, "For to be carnally minded is death. To be carnally minded is death. And you tempt the Lord thy power by trying to divide the sea." Notice the Lord didn't allow that to happen. Right? It says, "But to be spiritually minded is life and peace." How are you going to be spiritually minded with life and peace? These holy scriptures. Verse 7, it says, "Because the carnal mind is enmity," meaning hatred, "against the Most High. For it is not subjected to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be." Verse 8, "So then they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High." Right. Trying to divide the sea, the Lord don't want you doing that. That's like me trying to up, go way out to some mountains, going hiking, and then go way out there in the mountains and try to create and build a tabernacle. Go out there way out there in the desert, up here in Vegas. We're way out there in the mountains, and try to build a tabernacle. There's mountain lions. There's all type of shit out there. Coyotes, all that shit. There's a lot of mountain lions in Vegas. I would get mauled by a mountain lion, man. I go out there to the try to go out there to the mountains and create a tabernacle. Create me a Ark of a Covenant, and try to go up there in the mountains and create me a tabernacle. I'm gonna get devoured. There could be mountain lions out there, snakes. There's a lot of wild animals out there. Not using wisdom, being carnal, being over righteous. It can get you hurt. You got to use wisdom, man. Right? The Lord don't want us doing that. The Lord just wants us to preach the gospel. But you guys, you pastors, you guys go too far with stuff, man. Romans 8 and 9, it says, "But ye are not in the spirit." See, "But ye are not in the flesh, but in the spirit." See, we got to be spiritual, right? It says, if so be that the spirit of the Most High dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the spirit of Yahweh, he is none of his. See, because you got to be spiritual minded. Okay, you got to be spiritual, right? What did the scriptures say? You can't be carnal. The scriptures say, Galatians Galatians 5 and 25, "If we live in the spirit, let us also walk in the spirit." See, if we live in the spirit, let us also walk in the spirit. So we got to live in the spirit, and we also got to walk in the spirit. We got to be spiritual minded. Okay? We got to live in the spirit, and we got to walk in the spirit. You can't be carnal. Okay? You can't be carnal. And that's exactly what this dude did. Right? And you could tell, too, that stick was freshly cut. That stick he had was freshly cut. They literally believe he was gonna do all that. This is madness. This is why the truth ain't for everybody, man. The Bible isn't for everybody, man. People, when they read the Bible, they get bugged out. The Bible isn't the truth. This word is not for everybody. Look at that stick, man. It was freshly cut. He just came out of the forest cutting that damn stick, getting it all nice and sharp so he can stick it to the ground, thinking that he was gonna be doing something. Look at his ass. You almost got pulled. The current came in, almost took your ass out of there and put you way in the middle of the sea. You could have drowned. That current is no joke. You can literally drown out there. Look at that. He was running like he was running for his life when that current came in. He thought he was doing something. When that current came in, he was running backwards like he was scared. Yeah, that current would have fucking pulled your ass out way out in the middle of the ocean. Then you would have drowned. Tempting the Lord thy power is a very dangerous thing, right? Let's get that one. Let's get this scripture out, right? What did the scriptures say about the Lord? It says, here it is, Hebrews 10:31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of living power. It is, because the Lord could have struck judgment right then and there on that individual, right? So hey, man, you just got to be using wisdom. This is not what the Lord wants you doing. The Lord don't want you putting yourself in a casket, fasting for 40 days, 40 nights. The Lord don't want you doing that. The Lord don't want you going up to wild animals and trying to pet it. The Lord ain't wanting you to do that. The Lord ain't trying to have you go out to an ocean and try to divide it. The Lord don't want you doing that. Those things, the Lord don't want you doing that. Each one of them pastors either got hurt really bad or dead. This guy, he almost drowned. The current almost pulled him out. All you need to be doing out there is teaching the gospel. And the only ones that need to be teaching the gospel is the prophets, the men of the Lord, the Israelites. All right, you other heathen nations, you guys are not using wisdom. You don't know the scriptures. You just going out and just doing stuff that the Lord is not requiring you to do. All the Lord wants us to do in this present time is to prophesy and teach his word, preach his gospel, get his word across. That's all the Lord wants us doing. He don't want us trying to part no seas. He ain't trying to have us split no rocks. He's not trying to have us create no Tower of Babels. The Lord ain't trying to have us to create no tabernacles. The Lord is not trying to have us go out in the wilderness and wander for 40 years. The Lord's not trying to have us do any of those things, man. The Lord ain't trying to have us go to no dungeons and pet no lions. None of that stuff, man. The Lord ain't trying to have us go out and fight over 1,000 men with a jawbone of an ass. The Lord ain't trying to have us do any of that, man. Just preach and teach the gospel. That's it. We don't need to do anything mimicking exactly what the prophets of old did. The Lord don't want us doing that, man. That was in that time for those prophets, for those men, and they did that. Our job is to just preach and teach the word. Stop making things so overworking. Stop trying to make things so deep. Okay, you don't need to be deep with everything. The scriptures even say that, right? Because that man is being too deep. What did the scriptures say? Be not curious, right? Uh, unnecessary, necessary, Salakia, matters, right? This is Akili. This is Sirach 3:23. Be not curious of unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men understand. So you're not supposed to be so curious and unnecessary matters. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion. See, so many are deceived by their own vain opinion, man. All right, and it says, "And an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment," and that's what that pastor is, man. That African pastor, man. He's deceived by his own vain opinion. He literally believed that he can be able to divide that ocean, and it didn't happen. It says, "But what is command thee, think upon with reverence, for it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret." Right. So you're not supposed to be so curious of unnecessary matter. That's something unnecessary. You're trying to get too deep and to divide the Red Sea and how to do it. You don't need to do that, man. The Lord's not requiring us to do that. The Lord was requiring that to do that. He would have told you like he did unto Moses, right? The Lord just want us to preach the gospel, right? Sirach 3:23. Be not curious of unnecessary matters, for more things are shown unto thee than men understand. So don't be too curious. Don't be over righteous. Don't be too deep. You don't need to pull these type of stunts, actions, none of that, man. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that, man. So again, man, doing these type of stunts can get you killed. It can get you hurt. Or you putting yourself in life-threatening situations. So, we just got to be using wisdom out here. So, hey, hopefully this lesson was edifying. So don't be trying to divide no seas. Don't be trying to go out and pet no wild lions. Don't put yourself in a casket, getting buried 6 feet, and trying to fast for 40 days and 40 nights and try to be risen on the 40th day. Don't do that. Don't create no tabernacles. Don't create a tabernacle. Don't go way out to a desert somewhere and try to create a tabernacle out there. Don't do any of those things, man. All right? Don't get over righteous. Don't get too deep. Right? Because this is all these actions right here is getting these men put in very dangerous situations. So hopefully this is edifying. On to the next one. I say, Shalom.